Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Today, Victoria Rader wants to make money work for you. Victoria, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Bill.
Victoria, you've written a book called Prosper M.E., the word me. Can you explain that title to us?
You see, I'm not very big on believing that everybody's born to be a billionaire or even a millionaire. I think that's a myth that is sold out of a place of fear of missing out and overpromise and underdeliver. But I do know with every fiber of my being that every human being is born to prosper if they follow very practical yet universal principles of prosperity. And because of that, I think when I say prosper, it means me, I, you, that part of us, of each and every one of us that we refer to, I am me, is born to prosper. From all the work that I've done, I've redefined me as little m, big E. And the recipe for that, I'm sure will come through our discussion today.
I'm sure it will, and I like that you included, and now as I'm thinking of it, Prosper ME, that includes me, and I like that because then I'll be prospering, and I've already put some of your suggestions into effect, and we'll talk about them as we go through the show. You say in your book, abundance and prosperity are not caused by how much money you have. Now, I'm sure that's a question if somebody had a true-false test, I would certainly get it wrong. So can you explain what that means?
Especially now, I think we're a little bit beyond recession. Looking at the real estate markers and looking at investment markets, I really think we're in depression. And we can be playing a denial game and pretend that it's going away, and it will, as any depression does. But knowing the reality is very helpful. And in that reality, it's only human for each one of us to have that thought, if only I had a little bit more money. If only I had a little bit more money, life would be a little bit better. And I think it's the mindset that short term, as a Band-Aid on the wound, is a true mindset and is helpful. And yet, as you know, very well quoted statistics that 70% of lottery winners that win $1 million or more, less than 3 years later, are worse off financially than they were before. And then we say, well, for sure, I'm the 30%. For sure. For sure, a little bit more money for me would fix it. But money problems are not fixed with money long term. Only money management and money mindset fix, solve, and resolve for the abundance long term. So that is what I mean there. Just a little bit more money is a Band-Aid or a breathing mask. It's great, but it's not a long-term thriving proposition.
And as I think of it, first of all, now that you've reminded me, I've read that about the lotto winners and lottery winners. And even among friends, there was always something more they wanted. If they wanted to achieve a certain degree in college or a master's degree or a doctorate, everything was going to be fine when they got that. And then there was the next stage. And if they were the general manager, they wanted to be the vice president. If they were vice president, they wanted to be president. So I see what you're getting at. And of course, it's certainly true. The one thing, I shouldn't say the one thing because there's many things I love about this book, but you give us really a set of defined rules. It's like going into a baseball or a football game. There's rules, we follow them, and if we want to play that particular game, we have to go by the rules. And you say money obeys very practical principles and laws, and they will always work in favor of me. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, so this is where I think that definition of me comes in. I think the world is splitting up into very distinct views, the very practical, pragmatic, and very spiritual, detached. And I think one of the things that brings me immense joy is to marry the two and say, hey, here now we get to do both, and that is the fastest, and I quite frankly believe the only way to sustain long-term success. And what do I mean by that? We all are physical matter, and we all are energy that flows through that matter. So little m is matter surrendering to energy. It is material surrendering to essential. And it is manifesting surrendering to expensive, and so forth and so on. So you as you are, each one of us is a vibrant source of energy that has universal laws of understanding how energy works. And yet we get to have this energy flow through a very physical matter that has its own laws. Money tends to be a reflection of our understanding of that connection. And we either then worship money and it becomes our God, or we fear that it'll become our God and we say money is evil. And we constantly are on this pendulum between money's evil, money's God. And so we're either working for money or we are working away from money, thinking that this is the only way to gain, spirituality and insight. And so the in-between resolution of having money work for you, or in our case, for each one of us, having money work for me, is following the practical laws of money, because energy flows and follows the laws. Just like water will not flow up the mountain, upstream, it goes downstream, so does money. So studying these laws allows for us to manage them. And as we manage the laws, we actually naturally enter the state of prosperity financially, but not at a price of losing our peace of mind.
As you answer that question, Victoria, I was just thinking, if we use an analogy with sports, if someone wants to be a professional football player, they spend 3 or 4 years in college refining their skills. A baseball player may be in the minor leagues anywhere from 3 or 4 to 10 years. And they're doing just what they're learning the laws of the game. They're learning to obey certain physical rules where they should have their shoulder, how their feet should be aligned, etc., their pitching style. So it really makes sense to say, if we want to make money, if we want abundance in our life, if we want to prosper, there should be some laws. And you've outlined them very nicely for us in 35 of them. Now, let me ask you, though, how long should someone anticipate? I think you say it outwardly in the book. This isn't going to happen overnight. If someone gets hold of your book and starts working on it and following your advice and does a good job, just like a student, let's make them at least a B+ student, what type of time frame are they looking at?
I think the first cop-out question is until. Keep at it until you're thriving. So that's the cop-out question. Now, in terms of the practicality, within just 7 days of applying a principle, you're forming new neural receptors in your brain. So you're starting to look at the reality differently. You see new opportunity. Within 7 months, seeing that new opportunity will start materializing as finances. And within 7 years of this practice, no matter where you start, no matter what amount of your debt is, you will achieve phenomenal prosperity. So as soon as 7 days, with visible results, 7 months, and with discipline, 7 years. And it truly is nothing in a spectrum of time. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're 7 or 77. In 7 years, wherever you start.
And I like it that you're being very honest with us. This isn't a pill that we're taking with a glass of water, and tomorrow we're going to lose 30 pounds and look like the Kardashians or whoever we admire on TV. You're being honest and telling us it's going to take, we're going to see changes in 7 days, but yep, the full span. And basically that would be the same thing if someone went to college and then went on for their master's, if they went to law school, if they went to medical school. We're talking kind of about the same framework. And I think in any sport, certainly the experience that someone needs, it's the ballpark numbers that we're looking at. After each chapter, you give us activations, and you use the term, you say they're designed to align the subconscious mind with the conscious intent. Can you tell our audience what some of those are? Because I think it's great. You make it very easy. It's like a recipe. Put these things in the bowl, and you'll get a muffin or a cake or a delicious vegetable.
Yeah, I think simplicity is a virtue that's overlooked often, and yet the more we simplify, the more we succeed. That's just kind of what I believe in. And so if it ain't simple, it needs to be solved. If it's simple, it leads to success. So our mind, consists of two fields that are being explored and studied widely, the conscious and subconscious. Conscious is very primitively yes or no mind. It's the mind that makes all the choices, and it's the only part of our brain and then of our thinking patterns that gets to decide mind, how we form a question. So my mind can be asking, why am I broke? Why can I not get a break in my life? Why does my neighbor have this great job and my life sucks? That's the conscious mind problem questions. We've all asked them. I've asked them. Being in a mentality of lack, we've all asked them. Now, the subconscious mind is the willing servant. It's a 93% of our performance machine. Conscious mind only controls 7%, but they're important. It asks the question. Subconscious mind is a 93% of performance in our life. And yet it has no choice. It has to follow the lead of the conscious mind. What conscious mind asks, subconscious mind answers. It filters through billion pieces of data through the mechanism that we know as reticular activating system. Or if I say, first move your RAS, R-A-S, and then move your other, part of the biology to get you into action. So when we ask a more direct question with our conscious mind, our subconscious then can answer more directly. So if instead of what's wrong with my life, why am I not making money, I'm reframing to what is the most optimal way for me to earn a living with the skills and talents that I have. When you ask that question, your subconscious mind has no choice but to deliver options for you to choose from. So the activations in each chapter are reframing your subconscious mind to start using the language of optimizing your reality by looking at the options that lead to prosperity. We're tapping into them. There's that magic word in each one of those activations that says now. I now understand the law of gratitude. Because then it doesn't matter what trauma we carry prior to now. We don't need to go into years of healing of that grateful person, blah, blah, blah. And so now I cannot make money. We're starting from now. Wherever you are, I now understand the principle of interest. I now know the law of interest. I now have the law of interest work for me. And as I say that, your brain automatically goes, interest. Should I study more about interest? Let me see how interest can work for me. And it's a magical law once we understand it.
Victoria, before we go further, I'd like to let our audience know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Our guest today is Victoria Rader, R-A-D-E-R. Her book is called Prosper, M-E, small M, big E. And Victoria is going to tell us, one, where we can get the book and if there's a website where we can learn more.
Absolutely. Books available through Amazon and your local retailers, as well as on our website, u2shine.com, you2shine.com.
Just say that again slowly for our audience, because if someone's writing it down, that was quick, and it is very simple, but please say it again.
Absolutely. So it's U2Shine, and it is spelled YU2Shine.com.
And we'll give that information later in the show if you like what you're hearing. And Victoria uses the word activate these principles. Well, she not only tells you how in the book, but if you want to activate them, you're going to have to reach out, look at more information on the website, perhaps get a copy of the book, and start putting this into your life. Victoria, the first law that you mentioned, and it's definitely one of my favorites, is the law of gratitude. You put this first and call it the secret sauce. So tell us why.
I think that's where it starts. I think that's where it ends. I think if you truly get the principle of the power of a grateful life, you are in the energy of appreciation and prosperity immediately. I think the caveat is we all have been told that it is important to be grateful. We've been taught to write lists of gratitude. I think the most important thing of really tapping into the power of this amazing law is understanding that it is the genuine feeling of gratitude that truly opens our perception, our reticular activating system, to look for things of value and prosperity. What we appreciate appreciates. When we appreciate relationship, it grows in value. When we appreciate our life, it appreciates, it grows in value. So when we appreciate what we now have, whatever it is, whether it's $100 a week or $100,000 a week, when we appreciate it, it appreciates and grows. I think the caveat with gratitude that a lot of us have maybe misunderstood, I know I have had to a certain point, is trying to force ourselves to feel grateful for devastating, damaging experiences. It's that one pronoun in English for. I'm grateful for this hardship. I think it's unnatural, and it trains our subconscious mind to create more of those experiences. So it's very important to adjust it within your thinking patterns and say, I'm grateful through this devastating experience for the lessons learned, for the virtues developed. And then we can truly start understanding the depth of gratitude in our life.
As I thought of that principle, and believe me, I take long walks, and before I interview a guest, I think about what they wrote in their book or what they're going to talk about. And I think for most of us, certainly in the area where our listeners are, we have so much to be grateful for. Just if you can get up and walk around, if you have a nice day. And if you don't have a nice day out weather-wise, probably tomorrow will be better. If you enjoy what you do, if you have friends, a pet, neighbors, just a good locale where you can go out and whether it's hit a ball, talk to your neighbors, or go for a run or a jog. I love the fact that you start with the gratitude, because I think if once we start appreciating what we have, we realize how far ahead of the pack we really are. And there's so much going, especially after the years we just went through with the pandemic and all the difficulty of health issues, et cetera, et cetera. When you're trying to get people to work with these concepts, you say don't just list them, but feel it. Is there a way to get this feeling that you recommend for people to kind of get into this? Is it before bedtime or when they're quiet or in church or something?
Yeah, I think I have a little cheat because we get so busy with our life. I love the suggestion of the morning walk, Bill, and I know I've done that. I also have my phone set with 3 reminders. It's a practical tip. I have 3 reminders in my phone. Now, because I'm a person of faith, the language reflects. You can adjust the language to reflect your own way of perceiving the world. But my phone buzzes at 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m. again. And it buzzes up with a reminder, I am loved. God loves me. What am I grateful for right now? And I will pause. And I will truly tune in into my environment. And I train myself to tune in to the point of, that sensation of choking in my throat and it's silly things, but silly things mean, have eternal meaning. It's my doodle cuddling on the floor, and I'm just so grateful for the joy that she's experiencing. Sometimes it's the bed. I have such a long, exhausting day, and I have a luxury of laying in my bed. Now I'm Ukrainian, so very often I just say thank you for keeping him alive another day. Every day I go through my family members and I say thank you. And for the ones that crossed over, I say thank you for giving strength to the family to continue. And so it's whatever it is that your mind was maybe even complaining a minute ago, that reminder helps me to shift into that. So for me, it's a daily practice and it's a discipline, because very often without it, it's very easy to kind of move through the day and then be like, oh yeah, I'm grateful. I'm going to be grateful tomorrow. There is tomorrow.
Victoria, I copied down a statement from your book, and it's going to sound a little confusing at first, so I'm going to say it very slowly. Notice what you notice, because what you notice is what you create. Can you tell us how we do that in noticing things? I walk outside, I look at a tree, I look at a little cute dog, I wave to the doggy, and hopefully he doesn't bite me on the way past. But tell us how you use that law.
Yeah, no, very often, actually, I would say all of us think we're way more positive than we actually are. We all think we eat a little bit better than we actually do. We all think we're a little bit healthier than we actually are. And it's beautiful. It keeps us in survival. It sustains us. Hope sustains us. But I think it's very important to be aware of how we perceive reality around us, because it is what we notice and how we notice with the repeating pattern that we are actually focusing on. So, are you noticing broken marriages and unhappy people? Are you noticing it over and over and over again? That might be telling you a little bit about your current state of relationship. Maybe there is something that you've got to process with your significant other. Are you noticing somebody driving a car that you always wanted? And if you do, are you noticing it with excitement for them? Because that creates gratitude and opportunity for you to get that car. Or is there a little bit of resentment? And the question is, how come they have it and I don't? So notice what and how you notice over and over and over again, because it is very telling of where your reticular activating system is dwelling. And it is dwelling there because you have filtered for it to be creating that as your environment. So it's like putting glasses on. If I'm wearing green glasses, everything will look green. But if I wear red glasses, everything will have a red tint. But I might not be aware of the tint unless I start noticing what I notice. So think of your day and think of how many times maybe you've noticed the same pattern. Was it a positive one or a negative one? It's very telling to know where you are, and knowing where you are can redirect you to go where you want to.
It might be almost scary to find that out about ourselves. Are we always seeing the negative, the dark, or maybe the, the rose-colored glasses where everything is too happy, and we have to be a little more practical? Victoria, once again, I want our audience to know you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Our guest today is Victoria Rader. That's spelled R-A-D-E-R. Her book is Prosper, M-E. And Victoria, would you tell us where we can get the book and the website where we can find out more?
The book is available on Amazon and your local retailers, as well as on our website, which is u2shine.com, and it is spelled YU2shine.com.
One of the laws I copied off your list is the law of harvest. And of course, that sounds to us like right away when I see that, I'm thinking of farm fields, somebody driving a tractor with a pitchfork, etc. But of course, it's not necessarily about that. Can you tell us how the law of harvest applies to the average person going to work? They're in sales, they're working in a bakery, they're an accountant.
It's a law that states you reap what you sow. It's a very basic law. It is a farming law. If you are sowing tomatoes, you're not going to reap cucumbers. Yet in life, very often, unknowingly, we're sowing some patterns of behavior, and we hope to reap very different patterns of behavior, and we're very shocked when it doesn't work. In a practical sense, in a business that serves clients, for any coach that has clients or is selling a program, notice what's happening. If all of a sudden, majority of your clients want a good deal, and they're asking you to give them a break, they're asking to give you a discount, you go like, what's going on? I mean, this is good stuff. You know it's good stuff. You know it works, but people are asking for discount. This is a moment when you have to say, wait a minute, am I not the person that goes to the sales rack the second I walk into the store every single time? See, we don't associate our patterns of behavior of looking for a deal and to get things only on sale. We don't necessarily notice that we are sowing, continually looking for a deal. And then we're shocked when we're reaping, when somebody else is looking at us and ask for a discount. So what is the quick fix? Next time you walk into any store, first of all, pause through the law of gratitude and realize the number of lives involved in this sacred experience. People that build the store, people that are running it, all the trucks that have stuffed it, all in every country or state, and every set of hands that participated truly in the shrine of harvest for you to be able to enjoy that moment. Now, when you walk into that as an energy, then wouldn't you want to truly appreciate the effort? And yes, I don't think it is wise to pay more for the same value, but it's very important to pay the right value with immense gratitude. So when you buy something and you're paying for it, understand how many lives are thriving through you because you're paying full value. And then that is what you're sowing. And then all of a sudden, your client is coming in and saying, you know what? I don't think you're charging enough. I've had that happen. Amazing thing. Had a client, I got a check and I said, you made a mistake. You added a zero. And he said, oh no, I haven't. I have not made a mistake. That's what it was worth it to me. I just sat there, sobbed, found an amazing cause for that money to pay it forward. But the miracle of continually, seeing what you're sowing, so that when you're reaping it, to understand that that law is alive and well in our daily life.
And isn't that interesting? And I think I'm just going to emphasize it again. You had a client who overpaid you, just as we might go to our accountant, a salesperson, or a doctor and say, you did such a fine job, I want you to have this, or a waiter or a restaurateur. and they actually gave, and then you passed that on to someone else as a good deed and passing it forward. Is that what I heard correctly?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the abundance shared is abundance growth. So that's, that's a beautiful concept.
Now, you mentioned that one of our problems is the inability to see immediate results is why so many people give up on this. I guess we're in that era where we don't want to wait. We want to take a magic pill, or we want to find out that something on late night TV, if we do it for 3 days or 6 days, we'll look like a famous athlete or actress, etc. Can you tell us what it is we can do to overcome this and to get on track with what you're just showing us?
Two concepts that go hand in hand there. First one is it's very important to realize that everything in your present is simply the result of your past. So whatever is happening in your life right now does not reflect your inner state of mind. You're just looking at your past. And so if there are mistakes that have been made, so be it. Forgive them. If there are advances that have been made, so be it. Humble yourself with gratitude. Whatever it is that you have now is the past. And so the opportunity to create the future is now. And it takes time, just like for a seed, it takes time to blossom. I say in the law of growth, it takes four things. It takes mindset multiplied by skill set multiplied by effort, and that brings results. I call it my formula of success in the law of growth. So whatever it is that you want to achieve, you want to look at those ingredients and say, is it my mindset that I need to change? Is it my skill set that I need to grow? Or is it an effort that I have to put in? And some efforts take longer than other efforts to bring results. And so very often we have given up just prior to getting the results, which is why I say until. How long do I adjust the formula? Until you receive the result that you want. And if you feel flustered with the results up till now, just realize they were your past conditioning, your past efforts. And that I just find it fascinating that all of the gurus of today that promise you that you can manifest something out of nothing have created a program, effort, have marketed it, effort, and are selling it to you, effort. So they actually are not living when they're preaching, right? But we're buying it. We're buying it.
And you're telling us the truth, and we appreciate it. Victoria, before we wrap up, I want our audience to know if you want to get this down, if you want to start following these principles and they're mapped out, Victoria gives you an activation plan. It's Victoria, Rader. The book is Prosper, M-E, or Prosper Me. And Victoria, once again, just tell us the website where we can learn more.
The website is you2shine.com, shine.com. And if you put / and then money, you can get a free quiz that's called What's My Money Healing Mode? And it will show you which part of you and which laws would be most helpful for you to heal your relationship with money.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Victoria. We want our audience to know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.